Hello, welcome. This is Cheryl from Energy Work Studio. As we get started, I'm going to give you a little information about the emotion code, how it works, and its process. I've set this video up specifically for new appointments. The emotion code is one of the most powerful tools created to help. So first up, many know I've offered free live samples on Facebook since January. My intention for offering this gift was to help educate and inspire people, but more than that, to also encourage people to embrace remote distance application. That was the point of me doing this. I've been offering distance work since 2012. I also have other video demonstrations on my website of the emotion code and on my YouTube channel, and that would be The Energy Work. So you might want to check that out. I use Zoom Live for my private distance sessions with the same accuracy as if you were in my office. I have clients across the globe, Spain, France, Hong Kong, Australia, as well as across the United States and others. So today, as we begin your journey with me, let's begin with a brief discussion on how this modality works and a demonstration. And I'll do that at the end and show you how we actually use the flow chart and magnets. So first, trapped emotion is created in the body because some trauma that we experienced couldn't be processed. This is a form of muscle testing, similar to kinesiology, using magnets to locate and remove trapped emotion. Trapped emotion is usually under the skin surface, immune to magnetic releasing until, and I highlight the word until, we go through the process of identifying it with a flow chart and find what organ was disrupted. Once identified, it comes to the surface of consciousness. And you can run magnets over your body all day long. If you have a headache, you could run it over your head, your elbow, anywhere you have pain in your body. You can do that all day long. It wouldn't help. It wouldn't make a bit of difference. It's through the process that we're able to locate the issue and also the organ that was disrupted. So 90% of people's physical or emotional pain is due to their emotional baggage, causing inflammation, pain, congestion, self-sabotage, reoccurring emotional distress, depression, anxiety, etc., and a host of more. I mean, that's only a few. There are 60 in total on the flow chart that we use. And they can be trapped in many layers. So let me just show you that chart. Let me see. I have it right here. Yeah. This is the actual chart that we use. And in this chart, there are two columns, column A and column B. Two columns rather. And then there's 6 rows, each row telling us an organ. So your subconscious is going to send us to one or the other of these columns. And then it's going to send it to a specific row. So we'll know in short order which organs were disrupted and which cell cluster which of the trapped emotions. And there's 5 trapped emotions in each cell. So that's how we use the flow chart, tapping into a person or an animal's subconscious. The belief in this work is that there are as many trapped emotions in the body as there are days in the year. That's 365. And I have to agree with it because I've been working on myself now for over a year since I got involved in this work and became certified in it. I've released at least a minimum of over 400 trapped emotions in my own system. That's not including a heart wall, and I had that released as well. That's another video. I'll be doing a discussion on that. But lots of trapped emotion in the body, so I have to agree. That's a lot a person can take in. Trapped emotion usually starts in childhood, and we just keep adding to it as we become adults. It just keeps going. Uh, it can be as small as a baseball, but it can also be as large as a cantaloupe. So that's a lot of dense energy in one area of the body. In this work, the practitioner connects with the subconscious of a person or an animal. The conscious mind is where we live and make daily decisions. It's been said that we use about 1/10 of our consciousness. That's actually not true. We use less than that. The subconscious mind is the bulk of our intelligence and is actually connected to universal source or God or divine source, whatever you want to use for a terminology there. As we begin working with an individual or an animal, we connect to their subconscious, not our own. And it's important to note that a practitioner's ego steps aside as soon as we make that connection. The ego absolutely steps aside, and we have to always ask permission before we can actually connect with someone. We always, always, always have to ask permission. So that's a given. So let me just show you another symbolism here. I think that, well, the chart wasn't a symbolism, but this is. And I think that you will really appreciate this. This is the conscious mind as an iceberg above the waterline. And below the waterline, the bulk of the iceberg, that is the subconscious mind. It is huge. It is massive. And that is where we're getting all the information for a person or an animal, is connecting to that. That subconscious mind has every piece of information about you, every thought you ever had, every ill you ever had. It knows everything about us. So it's important to note. So now, if I were to give you an example of what it's like for the body to be carrying around trapped emotion, it's like dragging suitcases around full of rocks. I thought that was a perfect analogy. Dr. Brad talks about that. And that's actually what it feels like to the body. It's a very heavy and dense energy on the body and organs. So trapped emotions are a very dense vibration. Many of my clients have heard me mention this before on many occasions. Everything is energy and has a vibration to it. Trapped emotion is no different. It has a frequency to it. Normally emotions are felt and they're processed, but sometimes this energy becomes trapped because we're unable to process the deep hurt or agitation. This usually happens when the body is either vulnerable or the emotion we experienced was very intense. And I'll give you some examples, like a divorce, a death of a friend, a family member, a colleague, a pet even. And it can also be something joyful that we receive, like a job. We got a beautiful new job and we're moving to California. They're paying for the move and everything. It's a wonderful time, new beginnings. But the downside is we're leaving friends and family. So that can create a little bit of trauma in the system because you're leaving loved ones. Okay, so just so you have an idea, it can be both sides of that coin. And after that, the emotion code is just a tool really to cut loose the baggage. Then we're better able to attract the things we really want without guilt. Without guilt. And it's an important aspect to remember, attract. With trapped emotion in the system, it's a low frequency, it's very dense, it's very heavy. So consequently, we keep attracting things and people of that same frequency, adding more layers to the trapped emotions that are already in existence in the body. So trapped emotions are released with 3 rolls of a magnet using the governing meridian line in Chinese medicine. And that's up and over the crown and down the back. That's how we do it. So the governing meridian line starts about the nose, goes up and over the crown and down the back of the spine to the tailbone. That's how large it is. It's the largest reservoir of energy in the body, and it's connected to all of the meridian lines. So now let me just give you another diagram. I think that you will find this fascinating. See if I can pull this up. I think we have one here, yeah. Okay, so now the governing meridian line is the only one that we use in this work. We don't use any of the other meridian lines, but just to give you an example, something to wrap your mind around. This is what we call meridian lines, okay? So the physical body, it's kind of like a vein that runs through your body that brings blood through it. Well, that's what meridian lines do. That brings energy through the pathways. So these are all of the meridian lines in the body, okay? And they're connected to all of these, let me see if I can give you this, organs. They go right through all of these organs. Each one of these meridian lines goes through all the organs, okay? So the governing meridian line starts about here and goes up over the crown and down your back. So when we're using a magnet to release and we're doing a remote session like this, you can see me live. This is a magnet. We put it in the field. And we don't have to touch the physical body. Just put it in the field, roll it up and down as far as your arm will reach down the neck. So it's just up and down 3 times. That's it, with a strong intention of whatever it was that we found here. Whatever we found here, that's actually how you do it. So, let me see what else I wanted to give you. Trapped emotion, as you can see, when we do find and release trapped emotion, it goes through all these meridian lines, and immediately, you feel it immediately. You feel something shift in your body right away. And it's because it's such a large energy reservoir, it's connected to all of these, it immediately, it's like a Pac-Man, it goes right through your body looking for that issue, that trapped emotion that's stuck somewhere. It goes right for it. It's wonderful, wonderful work. And in this work, it works on both emotions, emotional distress, and physical pain. So it doesn't limit it to just one or the other. But something to keep in mind, the body will go through a 3-day period of adjustment. 3 days of adjustment where, your body may be tired, you may feel very light like a feather. So let me give you another chart that I think that you will find fascinating. Let me see. And that would be the chakra centers. Strange. Here it is. I knew I had it. Okay, so let me just show you this. This is your chakra center. This is a human body, and your energy centers are called chakras, and you're probably all familiar with that. So let me just put some holes on this. I just want you to show you what it's like when the body is releasing trapped emotion in it. It actually feels like it's leaving holes in your body from where the trapped emotion once was that we just released. So there you have it. See all those little holes in the body? It looks like they have measles. That's what your body is going through when we release trapped emotion. It leaves gaps. It leaves a hole wherever it once was. It pulls it right out of the body. And it leaves like a space in your body that needs time to adjust and to fill in with your beautiful energy. And it does, but it takes time. So it is a process. But I thought that you would find this interesting to have a chart to look at with holes in it so you kind of have a representation of what it can actually feel like. So some people may feel very light after that happens, very calm, very relaxed, but others may feel very exhausted. And I have to tell you, I've worked on a lot of people, and many of them tell me when they first start this, they're exhausted. They're completely exhausted. They actually need a nap. For the first 2 days, they're just really wiped out. So everybody's different. Some people feel very light and they just breeze right through it, and other people are just very, very tired and just worn out. And that's okay. but I strongly suggest to everyone, regardless of what's going on, soak for 20 minutes in an Epsom salt bath or a foot soak, either one, and stay hydrated, very hydrated, more water than you normally drink for that adjustment period of 2 to 3 days. It helps to calm the nervous system and balance it out. The modality is very efficient. I've worked with many modalities in the 22 years I've been in this metaphysical field. It's very efficient and effective, working on emotional distress and physical pain. So there you have it. Those are the fundamentals and the basics of the emotion code and what we're going to be doing and working on you, what you can expect, and how the process works. So let me just show you how I would use this chart now, and I'll use it on myself just to give you a real bird's eye view of how this actually works. So let's just say I'm feeling anxious, I'm having anxiety, and I just haven't been right. I just feel like I'm having a lot of anxiety attacks, or I just feel like I'm very anxious all the time, and I don't know why. And this has been going on now for a couple of weeks. And if I were to gauge it from 1 to 10, I would say my in 10 being the worst. This is what I tell everybody. I would say my anxiety is maybe a 7 or an 8, very high. Okay, so that gives me something to work with. That's an emotional distress that we're going to work on, not a physical pain. Physical pain would be pain in your hips, pain in your lower back, pain in your stomach, you're not sure why. Physical pain, diarrhea even, that's physical pain, okay? Headaches. So we're talking about anxiety, so that's an emotional stuff. So, and my pain level is between 7 and 8 as an example. That's not what's happening, but I'm giving you an example. So that's like pretending I'm working on a client. So my first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use the hand position that is called the log roll. And this is what it looks like. So it's, if you're familiar with kinesiology, kinesiology is muscle testing, and that would be the arm, and you test it. If it stays strong when you ask a question, when the practitioner asks a question, that means it's a yes. If it drops and it's weak, that means it's a no. Okay, so what we're going to do with this, it's very similar to that, but we use hand positions, and there are several different ones. I use what is called the log roll. So if I get a yes, it stays yes, stays right there. If I get a no, it drops. So this is a yes, stays firm. If it's a no, it drops. Okay, so I'm going to ask. So I'm going to tune into my subconscious, and this is how I tune into everybody the same way. Same routine, whether it's a person or an animal. I'm lovingly asking to connect, to have permission to connect to my subconscious, or to the client, whatever the client's name is, or the animal, to that person's subconscious. I'm asking permission to do that. And I'm going to get a yes or a no. I'm going to keep asking until I get an answer. And finally, when I get an answer, I get an answer. Finally, when I make a yes answer, I stop. Okay, now I have a connection. So I'm connected to you. So now I'm going to ask, okay, so this client is having a lot of anxiety, and they're saying it's between 7 and 8. So where do we go to find the trapped emotion in their body to help release the tension that's going on with that person? So are we going to column A? Remember, I told you now there are 2 columns, A and B. So where are we going? Are we going to column A? No. Are we going to column B? Okay, so I would write that down, column B. Okay, now where are we going? Is it in an even row or an odd row? Remember, I told you there was 6 rows. Here's the 6 rows. Even rows are 2, 4, and 6. Odd rows are 1, 3, and 5. Okay, so I'm going to ask, where are we going now? Is it an even row? We're going to get a yes or a no. Is it an odd row? We're going to get a yes or a no. Okay, so let's just say, to save time, is it in an even row? Yes. Okay, is it in row 2? No. Is it in row 4? Yes. Okay, I'm going to write that down. B4 is where it's sending us. And then I'm going to look to see what organs it was. So B4, so this is the column it sent us to, okay? So B4, and it sent us to row 4. So B4, so this is the cell block we're looking at, B, column B, but row 4. So we know it's going to be either liver or gallbladder at the end of this that was disrupted. And we won't find out until after we find out what this is first. So B4. Okay, so what I'm going to do is ask. Where are we going? We found it. So let's ask. B4. The trapped emotion we're looking for in B4, in this cell block. Is it depression? We got to know. Is it frustration? We got to know. Is it indecisiveness? We got to know. Is it panic? We got to know. Is it taken for granted? We got a yes. So we're going to write that down on your chart. Taken for granted. Okay, and then we're going to ask, do we need more information for that client? We're going to get a yes or a no, okay? So in this case, we're going to say no, and we're going to continue. Okay, and can we release it at this time? Yes. So now is when we release that trapped emotion. Now that we found it, we're going to release it. And this is how we do it. We put a magnet. They're very strong carriers of intention. So the intention is, we found that they have trapped emotion that is called taken for granted, and we are going to now release that from that person's body lovingly with 3 rolls. So in the field, lovingly releasing taken for granted, 2, 3. That's it. Now we're going to go back in and ask, have we successfully released that trapped emotion taken for granted? We're going to get a yes. Okay, so we're going to mark that. And then we're going to ask, of the 2 organs, and there's always 2 organs in every single row, cell block. There's always 2. So we went to B4, so that's what we're looking for. So we're going to ask at this point, now that we've released the trapped emotion, we're going to ask one or the other. So in this case, it was liver or gallbladder. So I'm going to ask, so which organ was disrupted by this trapped emotion? Was it the liver? No. Was it the gallbladder? Yes. So we'll make a notation. So there's the chart now that we've already started on this person. Okay, so all we've done is made a notation of what we found for the trapped emotion, which organ it was, and where your subconscious actually sent us when it started. Okay, to get that information. So that is how we actually locate and release trapped emotion from the body. And then when we've concluded, and the practitioner will generally get a sense or a feeling of when it's time to, at least I do. I get a sense of when I'm getting close to, I need to stop now, because your subconscious will stop us from releasing more trapped emotion than the person can handle. I start to get a feeling, it's time, we're getting close. So I will ask, should we stop releasing any more trapped emotion from this person's body? We're going to get a yes. So my intuition will pick up on that, and I will get a yes, and I will stop. So at that point in time, we count how many trapped emotions we released from the person's body, and then we also go back in and then lovingly disconnect from that person when we're finished. We don't want to stay connected, so we lovingly ask to disconnect. And I always say, thank you so much for gratitude. Thank you so much for allowing me to connect to so-and-so to help that person help themselves. So thank you. I'm going to disconnect now from the subconscious. Disconnecting, disconnecting, disconnected. And a yes means we've disconnected. And that is what you will expect when you come in either to the office or have a remote session during a Zoom conference. So that's how it works. It's very simple, but it takes a little bit of time to get through the process. So I'm glad that you tuned in. Thank you for doing that. And if you have questions, you can certainly email me, energy4522@gmail, or before your session, or go to my website for more information or to watch some more videos before you come in. Energy Work workstudio.com, one S between work and studio. All right. So thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. And I look forward to working with you. Take care. Stay well. Bye for now.